Hello, my name is Talamelli Cusick. I'm the Executive Vice President of ImpactWayv, and I welcome you to the latest in our podcast series, Making an Impact. And today I'm very pleased to welcome Sophie Joseph. Sophie's the president of the Joseph Family Foundation. The Joseph Family Foundation's mission is to seek opportunities to enrich and encourage the prosperity of people, places, and animals while creating an atmosphere of growth, success, and hope. Welcome, Sophie. It's a pleasure to have you here. I'd like to welcome you and give you an opportunity to give us an overview of the Joseph Family Foundation, if you would.
Thank you so much, Karen. I just want to first thank you and your entire team at ImpactWayv just for having me today. It's an honor to be here, and I'm really excited to take you guys just through the Joseph Family Foundation and all the different things that kind of encompass what we do. So I guess to start us off, if you want, I'd love to jump into what the Family Foundation does.
Oh, please. Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So we're a 501c3. We do work, and we're kind of all around the country and then all around the world too. We're starting to dabble into international work as well. And we really focus on 4 major areas for us. And it's funny because a lot of those areas often tie together, but you'll kind of see why. So just in short order, we have something called the 4 spheres of action. And so in short, the first one that I can think of, but in no particular order, is education aid. So this one is the sphere of action that's really there to encompass safety and prosperity and productiveness within the school environment and without the school environment. So this could be at schools, like at the actual schools themselves, or it could be at organizations or companies or just initiatives that are trying to enhance education for those who are possibly the K through 12 setting, or even individuals who are adults with disabilities we've also worked with as they learn and grow in the education setting. So that's one of our first things that we really work on. And another thing is living aid. So this one is really just the sphere of action that emphasizes individuals and organizations which may lack anywhere from housing opportunities to everyday living necessities, or just have financial concerns for living. So we've worked in a lot of different areas there as well. The next one that just comes to mind, and again, in no particular order, is health and wellness. So that's something that's really important to our family, is to have a prosperous and joyful life. Honestly, health, being able to wake up in the morning and enjoy your day, and being able to walk around with that health that you may have. So whether it be mental or physical, we both see those, or we all see both of those in our family and in our team over here as equals. So we worked with those who suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, to those at different psychiatric facilities or hospitals. And even we did a lot of work and hope to continue to do so with those who work so diligently at Sugan G Komen with breast cancer research. So it's a wide spectrum there as well. And then to top it off, and so again, in no particular order, because these are all just there for us to kind of break it down, if that makes sense. But we have underrepresented aid. So these are areas in which people or places or even animals are just not, they're always on the outside looking in. How can we go to these communities? How can we go to these different places and try to encourage and amplify their voices and encourage them to build up, whether it be socially or financially, or whatever the reason is or the barrier is for why they're looking from the outside in. We would like to be able to give support, whether that be financial, hands-on, or a combination of both. So that's kind of an overview of what we do. And to tie it together is we really love that all of those spheres of action, so-called, all overlap in so many ways. We'll find that those who suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, just like off the top of my head, also have different areas that have like living necessity concerns, or they have concerns for their everyday living. So that not only touches health and wellness, but it touches living as well. And so that's just one example that comes to mind. But we really did this very strategically because we recognize that there's so many different initiatives and there's so many different causes in this world. And the last thing we'd want to do is to narrow it down and leave people kind of on the outside wishing that they had a place to turn to for support or aid. So that's really the overall for the foundation.
No, it's wonderful, and with all of what you're doing, and you're touching on so much, so it's hard. But one thing that came to mind as you were speaking is you make the invisible visible, and that's so important. I love the way that your family approaches it, and we had even discussed earlier, that when you go in, like you had said, you touch on one problem and it opens the doors to so many. Your family is set up this foundation where you're nimble enough to react to it. It was interesting. I did read something before that a quote that I had that really touched me, and I think it ties into what you were saying, that the main goal is to essentially understand and respect the differences in charities and the differences in work that people do throughout the world to offer tangible, hands-on, positive change in all the projects. And I think that is so important, and it's incredibly forward-thinking in the world of philanthropy. Not dictating, not restricting, but really listening to the people in the trenches and collaborating was very practical. And I think that you add your family, and we could talk about Big Plant Holdings. Families are successful in business, and I think you insert those practicalities in all you do in philanthropy.
Thank you. And I really appreciate that. And just even from underrepresented aid, which really, I guess the main focus is to listen to the voices of those who are in the trenches, on the outside looking in, whatever we really want to say about it. Because again, in philanthropy, there's so many incredible organizations and initiatives out there. But a lot of the times from what I've seen and just through some research and just as I'm growing into this position, being so young in this position, honestly, as I'm growing into it, I'm learning more and more that the greater the opportunities for those who frankly just don't have the voice or they don't have the ability to go and share their stories and share that they have needs, the less that philanthropy is going to be able to do for them. So we have to listen to them. We have to be willing to have those conversations and embark on different journeys and embark on different initiatives that oftentimes get overlooked. So I really appreciate you saying that, because that's something that's really close to my heart and that's really close to my family's heart. So that's what we really try to do.
And like you said, your family has touched on so many things. And like you said, listening and to have people feel they have a safe space, whether it's intimate partner violence or mental health, feeling so alone, but being able to have that comfortable place to say, I could use help and to really listen. That is so meaningful. And again, this is from everything I've read and from our discussions. It's always a family endeavor, which is really great and very inspiring. And why was it important for Big Plant Holdings to have a philanthropic arm?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And that's actually one of my favorite questions too, because I'm a little bit of a history nerd. So I like to look back in time to be able to look forward. And so there's so many different takes on how to move forward in life, but that's kind of my way of looking at it. So I love questions like that. So thank you. But I would say that in particular, my dad was actually in the medical cannabis business for so many years with two partners that he worked with. And then I guess by default, my family and I all had the great fortune and the great privilege of being able to exit from that field just for the time being with a lot of fortune, with a lot of fortune, not only like monetarily, but also just, I guess, at peace for a moment too, being able to come back to homeostasis and recognize that we are so grateful for the life that we're being able to lead. So then we were like, why don't we just do something for other people? Like at the very least, the least that we can do in this world is if we have the ability to live a meaningful and prosperous life, why not lend a hand to those who really are struggling to get that life as well? So at the end of the day, as cliche as it might sound, we just kind of took a look in the mirror and we said, we are so fortunate to be able to do the things that we love, be around those that we love, and be healthy and happy and all of the good things that come along with that. But we could take that to other people. We could take that to other initiatives. And so from that point forward, it was hands-on amongst all four of us. We were looking into researching, communicating, connecting with those in the philanthropy space, those that are philanthropists, all that different good work that so many individuals around this world do. And we just kept growing in our passion. And we were like, we're doing it. We are going to start a nonprofit and we are going to try to just add, even if it's the smallest little dent, we're going to try to do it and add it to this world. So that's really why, is being able to see our own fortune and be so grateful for that. And hopefully just to any part of that and add any part of that to the world as well, as even as cliche as it might sound.
No, it does. Gratitude means a lot. If you could do a lot, and it's truly a gift and a blessing to be aware of it, and then to take that light into the world. I love that your mission just, I think it ends with the word hope, but I think it, to me, listening to you and all you do, it's not only the last word in your mission, but it's the seed which everything else grows on that you bring to the world, which is amazing.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. We try. We hope so.
Well, speaking of that, I heard you hosted a pretty amazing event last month at the Country Music Hall of Fame. That's pretty cool. Could you tell, the people listening about it and some of your takeaways?
Absolutely, I can. Yeah. So it's actually funny because while this is, of course, a philanthropic event, my entire family, and it's a philanthropic event, and I guess that I spearhead so many of our different initiatives. My family in nature is so philanthropic as well. So by default, my mom and my sister actually spearheaded a majority of what was going on for our event that I think, just last month. You're so right. Oh my goodness, time flies. But yes, I think they just actually spearheaded that one. And I was really there to be as hands-on as possible and be a cheerleader on the side because they thrived in that position. But I would be happy to tell you about it, but I would not feel right without giving them that recognition as well, because they put in so much work, and the entire team did. But in full, I guess the event was a benefit gala and concert. It was hosted at the Country Music Hall of Fame, which was already in itself a remarkable thing. And so we were able to raise, and actually we're able to raise, and we're coming out with the money amount, the fund amount soon, actually in the next couple of days. So be on the lookout. But we're able to raise a lot of money for Sugan G Komen and just a lot of awareness, which those go hand in hand at the end of the day a lot of the time. So we are able to have low caps. We were able to have a bunch of other incredible artists come and highlight the fact that not only are we going to have a good time, we're going to listen to some awesome live music, entertainment, hors d'oeuvres, but we're also going to talk about breast cancer awareness. We're also going to talk about the importance of standing up and looking at the women and men who are affected by that in this world. And so being able to not only host an incredible evening, which people will really enjoy, but saying you're here, you're enjoying it, and you're doing really good while doing it too. So it was an awesome event. We had awesome staff around us, or staff at the CMA, of course, but also just the team around us too. So, and it's really a cool experience to work hand in hand with Sugan G Komen, a remarkable organization that does so much for the women and men who are either currently surviving or suffering from breast cancer, or those who have finally made it through that whole battle. So it's really awesome to be able to work hand in hand with them.
No, that's great. And I've known you, I tend to do this too, because I've worked with some of these organizations, but I'm glad you give a shout out to the men that are sometimes overlooked, and it affects. And as you allude to, it's, whether you're dealing with it now or if you were lucky to currently be cancer free, it's an ongoing battle, and it's an ongoing, as you alluded before, mentally and physically. And a lot of these support groups, and that's where someone like Sugan G Komen and so many of the other great groups, it doesn't end. They're there for people during the process. So it's so important, and it's wonderful. And like you said, everybody has a good time, it releases those positive endorphins, whether you're doing good or seeing other people do good.
Exactly. You get a concert in between. I mean, who wouldn't enjoy that? Just being able to listen to some good music.
Excellent. And I heard you have another cool one coming up next month. Is it January 27th? This seems pretty interesting. Like you said, your family runs the gambit. So this one is to raise money and awareness about displaced refugees.
Yeah, absolutely. So this one is something that I'm equally as passionate about as almost all the other initiatives that we try to take. But this one in particular is a really interesting project that we have going on. And the reason that it's so interesting is it's because it's the intersection of two very important events that are taking place currently and are really in a lot of discussions and discourses around the world. So I'm really excited to be able to take part in it and try to make even the slightest of dent. So those two different areas, one being climate change, one being climate related issues in itself, which is already a very big discussion amongst politicians, citizens, people around the world, just different people, advocates, whatever it may be. And then also those who are displaced, those who might be seeking refuge, whether it's internally or externally, meaning whether they're seeking refuge within their state, within their borders, or outside of their borders. So it takes really two contrasted areas and combines them to say, like, hey, they're not just individual, they could also be combined, and we need to talk about that too. So we're working with and going to be benefiting the International Refugee Assistance Project, which is going to be incredible, and they are really wonderful over there and doing amazing work. And so specifically it's going for their climate displacement program. So we're hosting, and it's funny, it doesn't really have to do with climate displacement in itself, but it's going to be a casino event, so which is really fun. We're going for a little bit of Gatsby here, if you may. And so we're going to have live entertainment. We're going to have a jazz singer and her band come in. We're going to have past hors d'oeuvres, drinks, full service casino tables, and just a really good time. But then as you walk through the doors, you're going to be enjoying your evening, but you're also going to be doing really good. And so that's what we try to do, is when we do events or initiatives, have a really good time, enjoy yourself, make it worth it to come out and spend your time and spend your hours and maybe even a couple of dollars just to support, but also you're doing it for good. So we're going to be having one of the representatives speaking to us, just like virtually, just for the time being, but we're really excited about it because it's something that's really going to end up affecting us all throughout this world. And so I think that the faster that we see it and the faster that we talk about it, the easier it might be for all of us to grasp and really just make it easier and make that transition, which is already, I can only imagine how detrimental and painful it may be to have to find a different place to live due to climate related issues, whether it's internal or external. I mean, I can only imagine at this point in my life. So I want to do the best that I can, and the team around me and one of my wonderful co-coordinators, Lucy Solomon, we're working together to really make sure that we amplify those voices and make it known that it's an issue and we want to do something about it. So that's kind of what it looks like. And it's crazy, just to kind of throw in there for perspective. I was doing some research the other day, and I don't know if you've had the chance, Karen, to look up different things that are happening in the climate displacement communities, which are all around the world, even in our backyard, from the Eastern Kentucky mudslides to the Florida hurricanes, all the way to Yemen with droughts and Ethiopia with droughts. And so these are happening all over the world, from our backyard to our neighbor's backyard and so forth. But I was researching, and by the year of 2050, it's projected that 216 million people will be internally displaced. And so just to kind of break it down, that's almost on the cusp of the size of Texas 7.5 times. I'm sorry. That's now going to be internally displaced. It's an astronomical number that it's hard to wrap my head around it. So to be able to just think about it, marinate in it, I guess, for a second, and be able to say, okay, we need to do something about it. So that's what we're really trying to do.
No, that's fantastic. It really is phenomenal. And you're right, those numbers are staggering.
Oh my God.
You know, we have so many of our partners at Impact who has opened my eyes to some of this, but I find it so fascinating. And it's just incredible, the initiatives that your family foundation is getting involved in, because you're not only dealing with the problems of today, but the problems of tomorrow, and a problem of that magnitude. Like you said, it's stunning. And I'm always very impressed and amazed at all the research you continue to do on all these. I mean, it is exciting because you're helping people, so you just want to look in more and more. But I've got to tell you, when it comes to foundations, I mean, it's very, very impressive. Just the way that you are just building it and looking at it, and you really help other people prosper so much. And like you said, with the discoverability and the awareness.
That's all. It just starts there, right?
Yeah, it's incredible. Like you could do so much with money, but again, your family helps out not only, businesses to try to be better. It's really amazing. It's like you want everyone else to have that same gratitude and success story that, you said you're so fortunate. And you do that with these philanthropic areas, adding that common sense and sensibility to help them to complement, not
Yeah,
dictate and whatever, and let them be the best.
absolutely.
But with all your research and everything you do, you're the head of this foundation, but you're still in college. It is amazing. How do you manage your coursework and essentially the CEO of a foundation and a very active foundation? I mean, this.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, and it's so funny because sometimes I forget that those two areas of my life, the one that involves the foundation and the philanthropic endeavors, which really just it drives me, it kind of ignites a flame, if you will. But then also my college and education and all the things that kind of come with that too, which also ignites so many flames too, because I'm passionate about learning all of the things that I'm studying now in my current like career path, I guess you could say. But it's challenging. I'm going to be honest with you. It is challenging. I mean, I started this work in the philanthropic space at the age of 18 at I think it was the end of 2020. I apologize. It was the beginning of 2020. So already in a very pivotal moment in human history with COVID-19 and the pandemic spreading all over the world, taking over headlines, taking over everyone's minds, taking over how we reacted and lived day to day, no matter where you were, and even just the little changes, no matter where you lived, it still impacted us. So I would say that from college student to foundation wise, it is a challenge, but I have never learned more in my entire life. And I don't actually know or foresee if I will be able to learn, and hopefully I will. Hopefully I'll continue to grow. But this is an extraordinarily educational experience, and I would not change it for the world. And also having people who have been through these pipelines, who have been through these phases of life before, even if they started at an older age, maybe not 18 years old, being in the philanthropic space, it's still so influential for me to learn from them, take those ideas, take those different thoughts and pieces of advice, even putting them into my own head, putting them kind of just back there in my brain. So then when the time doesn't come and it arises and everything like that, I can pull it out and be like, I've learned about this before, or I've talked about this before to someone. And so taking because I kind of mentioned it before, I like to look back to be able to look forward, which is, I guess that's just how I work best for whatever particular reason. And so being able to take the knowledge that other people have is so influential to me and so helpful. So I'd say that that's really how I balance it, is just by leaning on other people.
Well, that's great. And like you said, we learn from others' successes and failures. And
Yeah,
history is great to look back on if we could learn and grow from it.
right. Exactly. Exactly.
And, you seem to do that. And, I think that in all that you do, I mean, that's kind of what inspires me in, working with different partners, talking to you, you're an inspiration, and I'm grateful to learn every day. And,
Thank you.
I feel richer because we're talking right now. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Me too. This is an incredible experience for me as well. I mean, taking these different opportunities and just learning from it and growing from it. Also, that's just going to greater impact the philanthropic and just do gooder business, I guess you could say. I like to call, I guess, the philanthropic field the investments in humanity. Just as we grow, as we continue to learn about what's taking place in our world and taking place particularly for our future, we want to invest in humanity. We want to be able to give back, because at the end of the day, it's going to all domino effect and affect us too. So learning from others who have been through it and taking that and running with it as fast as I can.
Well, thank you, Sophie. We couldn't have ended on a better and more positive and realistic note. I mean, so, Sophie Joseph, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope we could do it again.
I hope so too. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity. And it's always nice to talk to you.
Oh, thank you, Sophie. Well, thanks for everyone for tuning in. If you enjoyed the conversation, please give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you. Thanks, Sophie.